Hello everyone, I'm Cookie from Jinko ESS. When customers inquire about C&I projects, they mostly focus on two key points. First, how will this new energy storage system work alongside with their existing grid and PV? Second, what issues can energy storage fix, and how does it bring in profits? So today, let's start with on-grid system. Spend just a few minutes walking you through exactly how C&I storage system works on grid and all the ways it makes money. To understand ROI, we need to follow the power. In a typical on-grid system, there are four main players: the grid, load, PV system, and the battery storage system. To keep them all perfectly synced, you need a smart brain, the EMS, making split-second decisions. Let's look at three daily scenarios. First, peak sunlight. When the PV system is pumping, the green energy powers load first, and leftovers automatically charge the battery. If the battery is full charged, you can sell the surplus back to the grid. And if there is a zero export requirement, the EMS will accurately limit any power export to the grid to prevent fines. Second, late afternoon. If the PV system output drops, the battery will power the loads alongside the PV system. If there is still not enough power, the system will automatically draw electricity from the grid to keep the loads running steadily. Third, overnight. At this stage, the battery system not only supplies power for nighttime loads, but more importantly, it charges from the grid during cheap off-peak hours to store low-cost electricity for the next day's use. To achieve all the flexible power scheduling for the battery system, the EMS controls the PCS to make it work. The PCS has two core operating modes to fit different grid environments. Usually, it operates in peaking mode. This is grid following mode. It runs by following the grid's frequency and voltage. It's easy to control and super fast to respond, so it is the primary mode applied for peak shaving and demand management. But what if the energy system is at the end of the grid, or the local grid is unstable? That's when you switch to VSG mode, grid forming. Instead of just following the grid, the battery acts like a traditional generator. It actively stabilizes the voltage and frequency. In a weak grid environment, VSG is your ultimate safety net. So, the tech works, but how exactly does it bring in profits? For on-grid system, there are four main ways to generate revenue. 1. Peak shaving. Buy low, use high. The battery is charged when power is cheap and discharged when it's expensive, directly pocketing the difference. 2. Power market trading. In open markets, you can work with trading platforms to leverage price forecasts and earn arbitrage profits. 3. Frequency regulation. This is actually a huge money-making opportunity in power markets. We package all the battery storage into one big VPP and charge and discharge the batteries as the grid tells us to. And we get service fees for helping stabilize the grid. You see this everywhere: FFR in Europe, FCOS in Australia, just to name a couple. 4. Renewable energy consumption. As we all know, PV power output fluctuates a lot. Around midday, PV generate way more electricity than load needs, which leads to PV curtailment. With energy storage, we can charge the battery with all the extra power at noon and discharge later when PV generates drops. This let us make full use of PV energy and boost our profits. Now that we've covered all the profitable business models, let's talk about the final step: installing the equipment. When designing the system, you usually have to pick between DC couple and AC couple. Figuring out which one fits your needs is actually really straightforward. If you want to build a brand new solar plus storage site, go with DC couple. The PV and batteries share one inverter. If we run the system with battery as a priority, we get much better power conversion efficiency. But if you just want to add storage to an existing PV system, AC coupling is the way to go. The new battery system and PV system connect independently to the AC busbar. Use EMS for overall system control. It won't disrupt your original equipment at all. Whether you are building new or retrofitting, the final step is getting the hardware on site. Jinko offers a highly integrated, standardized solution. First, the brand. The Jinko EMS 1000 is our self-development EMS, built specially for CNI. It handles real-time data, complex communications, and grid dispatch seamlessly. Next, our all-in-one storage cabinet. We pack the battery, BMS, PCS, and fire suppression into one cabinet. With 261 kWh or 522 kWh capacity and 130 kW power. We also have all-in-one units for DC coupling. It can connect directly to PV panels, no separate PV inverter needed. Paired with our Jinko EMS 1000, our Sangiga G2 and G Plus can easily link up to 12 cabinets in parallel. That's over 6 MWh of scalable power right on your site. And we have the track records to prove it. Back in 2025, we commissioned a 10-unit Sangiga G2 cluster domestically, seamlessly handling PV, battery storage, and EV charging, while crushing renewable energy consumption and peak shaving goals. We also just commissioned an 11-unit project in Vietnam this year. Today, Jinko ESS has supplied products to all major markets: China, Europe, Latin America, Southeast Asia, Japan, the Middle East, and Africa. We keep supporting all kinds of renewable energy projects across the globe. I'm Cookie from Jinko ESS. Catch you next time for more energy story insights.